What happens when arrogance collides with humility? When the wealthy mock the poor, only to be silenced by brilliance they never expected. Tonight, you'll hear the story of a struggling single father, laughed at, underestimated, and dared to attempt the impossible. 30 trained engineers had failed. But when he laid his hands on that broken boat, the world witnessed a miracle. Stay with me until the very end, because what happened next left everyone speechless, and it will move you too. The sun was high over the marina, where luxury boats gleamed like jewels on the water. Among them stood the yacht of Victoria Hale, a wealthy woman known for her sharp tongue and sharper pride. She had hired the best engineers to repair her prized vessel, but after weeks of effort, all 30 had failed. Crowds of workers gathered around that morning, whispering as Victoria paced impatiently on the dock. "What's the use of all your degrees and titles if none of you can fix a simple problem?" she sneered, tossing her diamond-studded sunglasses onto a chair. Among those listening was a man who didn't belong to this glamorous world. Thomas Reed, a widowed father of 2, wore a worn-out shirt stained with grease, his hands calloused from years of odd jobs. He was there not as an engineer but as a dock cleaner, sweeping debris and scrubbing oil stains. His little daughter, Lily, waited nearby, clutching a small lunchbox she had packed for him. They were poor. So poor that some nights Thomas went without food just to make sure Lily and her brother ate. But his eyes carried the quiet confidence of a man who had once studied mechanical engineering before life forced him to drop out and work to survive. When he overheard Victoria mocking the engineers, something stirred inside him. Not arrogance, but a quiet voice urging him not to remain invisible any longer. He cleared his throat and spoke. "Ma'am, I might be able to take a look at your boat." The dock erupted in laughter. Engineers, technicians, and wealthy spectators chuckled at the thought. A janitor fixing what experts couldn't, one man scoffed. Ridiculous. Victoria turned slowly, eyeing Thomas from head to toe with disdain. "And who exactly are you? You clean trash, not machines." But Thomas didn't flinch. "Machines don't care how rich or poor you are," he replied softly. "They care about hands that understand them." Something about his calmness irritated her, and intrigued her. With a smirk, she crossed her arms. "Fine. If you're so smart, fix my boat." 30 trained men failed. "If you succeed, I'll pay you whatever you ask. If you fail, you'll clean this dock for free the rest of the year." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lily tugged at her father's sleeve, whispering nervously, "Papa, don't, what if they laugh at you?" Thomas knelt down, cupping her face with a smile. "Sometimes, sweetheart, people laugh until the truth wipes the smile off their face." And with that, he boarded the yacht. The engine room smelled of burnt oil and seawater, wires tangled like vines across metal. Thomas studied it carefully, fingers tracing the machinery with the intimacy of someone who had spent his life around broken things, cars, washing machines, bicycles, anything that needed fixing to earn a few coins. The engineers stood outside, mocking him. "He doesn't even have tools," one jeered. But Thomas pulled out a small, battered toolkit Lily had saved up to buy him for Father's Day. Not shiny or expensive, just enough. For hours, he worked silently. He listened, not just with his ears but with his heart. Every clang of metal, every hiss of steam told him a story. He discovered that the problem wasn't the engine itself but a tiny, overlooked valve corroded by salt water. Something so small, yet it had crippled the entire yacht. He crafted a makeshift replacement, cutting and reshaping parts with steady precision. Sweat dripped down his brow, but he didn't stop. Lily sat on the dock, her little hands folded in prayer. Finally, as the sun dipped low, Thomas tightened the last bolt. He signaled for the ignition. The yacht roared to life. The once silent engine hummed smoothly, stronger than it had in years. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Engineers stood frozen, unable to understand how a man they had mocked solved in hours what they could not fix in weeks. Victoria's smug smile melted away, replaced with awe. For the first time in her life, she was speechless. Thomas stepped off the yacht, his hands still stained with grease. "It wasn't impossible," he said quietly. "You just needed to look closely enough." Lily ran into his arms, whispering, "I knew you could do it, Papa." Victoria approached, her pride struggling against the truth. "Name your price," she said finally. "You've earned it." Thomas shook his head. I don't need your fortune. Just enough to give my children a fair chance at life. A chance I never had." The crowd fell silent. In that moment, even the wealthiest among them realized that true worth isn't measured in money or titles, but in resilience, love, and the brilliance that rises from the most unexpected places.